Welcome to a deep dive into consciousness and meditation.
Sounds intriguing.
Today we're going to be looking at some YouTube interviews and even a guided meditation, all about like the power of the mind.
Oh, wow.
We'll be hearing from people like Sam Harris and Michael Acton Smith, co-founder of the Calm app.
Yeah, I've heard of them.
And we're going to be trying to answer some big questions like, what can our dreams tell us about our thoughts, when we're awake?
That's a good one.
Is it possible to be too aware of our bodies? And how might AI change the future of mental health?
Big questions.
Yeah, so first up, we're going to be diving into Sam Harris's ideas from his interview with André Ducombe.
Okay.
And he makes this really interesting comparison between our everyday thoughts and dreams.
Okay, interesting. What's he say about that?
So he basically says that, we can get so caught up in our thoughts that we lose touch with what's actually happening around us.
Right.
Even something as simple as making tea can turn into a mental whirlwind.
Yeah, you're so focused on what you're doing, but not really focused.
Yeah, exactly. He actually calls it a miniature psychosis. Like when you're making tea, but you're actually worrying about that meeting that you have later.
Right.
It's almost like we're on autopilot, totally missing out on the present moment.
Yeah.
So he's saying that we often don't even realize we've transitioned into this thought-driven state.
Right.
Just like we don't realize we're dreaming while we're in a dream.
Like you don't know you're dreaming while you're dreaming, you only know afterwards.
Exactly.
Wow.
And it makes you wonder, where do we draw the line between normal thinking and not so normal thinking? And he even brings up people who verbalize their thoughts constantly.
Oh, yeah.
And it's well, maybe the distinction isn't as clear as we think.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so how does meditation fit into all of this?
That's the big question.
Yeah. So Harris suggests that meditation can help us see through the illusion of the self.
Wait, the self is an illusion. What does that even mean?
I know, right? So think about it this way. The last time you got totally lost in a movie, you were so absorbed in the story, you forgot you were even sitting in the theater.
Oh, yeah.
And that's kind of like a taste of what Harris is talking about, that feeling of selflessness where you're just present to the experience.
So it's like that feeling of being totally immersed in something.
Right.
Wow, that's interesting.
And so that's what mindfulness practices are all about. Cultivating that same sense of awareness in our everyday lives.
Okay.
So, a lot of people, myself included, sometimes struggle with this idea of meditation being a path versus a goal. We want to get somewhere with our practice.
Right.
Wanting to be happier or less stressed.
Yeah, that's relatable.
But Harris actually talks about this tension directly.
Okay, what's he say?
He points out that while our initial motivation for meditating might be to achieve some desired state.
Right, yeah.
But the real power actually lies in recognizing that this state is always available to us.
So it's not about achieving something. It's about realizing it's already there.
It's not about chasing those peak experiences. It's more about integrating those insights from meditation into every moment.
Wow, I like that. That's really deep.
It is. And he also offers a word of caution. He talks about the potential for waking up without growing up. You can have these profound insights into the nature of self, but still have some unaddressed personality quirks, right?
So it's not a magic solution.
Yeah, it's not a magic solution. It's not going to instantly make you a perfect person.
Yeah, makes sense.
And he has this funny point about how becoming enlightened doesn't suddenly make you an expert in quantum mechanics if you weren't already.
Right.
It's it's not going to give you knowledge that you didn't already have.
It just gives you a new perspective on things, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
Speaking of new perspectives, let's actually try experiencing a bit of meditation ourselves.
Oh, okay.
We have this guided meditation from Michael Seeley, and it's all about detaching from overthinking spirals.
Okay.
The ones we all find ourselves in sometimes.
Yes, I know those spirals well.
Right, and so this style of mindfulness meditation, it's about creating space between us and our thoughts.
Okay.
It can really help to loosen the grip of things like anxiety, stress, worry.
Okay.
The key is to simply observe your thoughts without judgment, recognizing that they're temporary, not permanent residents.
Just observe them.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that stood out to me from this meditation was this visualization of thoughts as shooting stars across the night sky.
Oh, wow.
Each one appears, shines brightly for a moment, and then fades away.
I like that.
Yeah, it's a good analogy. It really captures that fleeting nature of thoughts.
It does, but let's be real for a second.
Yeah.
Some people, they're just skeptical of meditation. It just seems a bit out there.
Yeah,
It's like something only for like, yogis on mountaintops.
right, yeah. Well, even Alex O'Connor, in his interview with Sam Harris, he admits he initially felt like hesitant about meditation,
Okay.
even compared it to prayer, saying he felt like he lacked the belief to engage with it.
Mm.
But Harris's response is so simple.
What did he say?
He basically said that meditation is just about paying attention to your experience, much like a scientist observing a phenomenon.
Okay.
That's what I like about his approach. It's very grounded, accessible, and takes the pressure off having to believe in anything specific.
Right, right.
It lets you focus on the actual experience of your own mind.
Okay.
So it's not about making grand claims about the universe.
Yeah.
It's about understanding the workings of our own internal world.
Hmm.
To make this more concrete, Harris gives this example of, like, getting stuck in a mental loop,
Okay.
like replaying a conversation over and over and over.
Oh, yeah, I do that.
Right.
Yeah.
And he points out something so fascinating. He's like, if we were having that same conversation with anyone else, we'd probably be bored to tears.
Right, yeah.
It just highlights how our own thoughts have this unique ability to capture our attention,
Yeah.
even when they're not serving us.
It's so true. It's like we have this bias towards our own thoughts.
Yeah.
Right.
Harris even uses the word psychotic to describe this, which I found pretty thought-provoking.
Like psychotic. Wow.
Yeah, it makes you wonder, right?
It does make you wonder.
Now, there are actually different types of meditation,
Oh, okay.
each with its own unique benefits.
So it's not one size fits all.
No. And Dr. Andrew Huberman, a neuroscientist who hosts a podcast, he actually dives into this. He compares it to exercise. You wouldn't expect to get the same results from weightlifting and yoga.
Right.
And different types of meditation will affect your brain and body differently.
Makes sense.
So what's going on in the brain when we meditate?
Yeah, what is happening?
Huberman gets into the nitty-gritty,
Yeah.
but we're going to focus on three key players:
Okay.
the prefrontal cortex, the ACC, and the insula.
I've heard of the prefrontal cortex.
Yeah, so imagine your brain has a team dedicating to figuring out what's going on,
Okay.
both inside you and in the world around you.
Yeah.
That's essentially what these three areas are doing.
They're like constantly checking in. What's happening inside? What's happening outside?
Exactly. For example, these areas help you distinguish whether a racing heart is because you're running uphill,
Right.
or if it's because you're feeling anxious, just sitting still.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it brings up this distinction between sensation and perception.
Okay, so what's the difference?
So sensation is all the raw data flooding in from your senses.
Okay.
Sights, sounds, feelings. But perception is when you selectively focus your attention on specific sensations.
So we're constantly bombarded with sensations, but only consciously perceive a tiny fraction.
Exactly. And Huberman introduces these two concepts, interoception and exteroception.
Okay.
And they basically describe how we direct our attention.
That's right.
Interoception is your awareness of your internal bodily sensations,
Okay.
like heartbeat, breathing, digestion.
Okay.
Exteroception is your awareness of things outside of you,
Got it.
sights, sounds, smells.
Okay.
It's like a spectrum with interoception on one end and exteroception on the other.
So we're constantly tuning our attention back and forth between our inner world and the world around us.
Exactly. And the interesting thing is our brains have a default setting.
What's that?
So when we're not actively engaged in a task, our minds tend to wander towards either interoception or exteroception.
So some people are naturally more tuned into their bodies, while others are more focused on their surroundings.
Exactly. But here's the thing.
Okay.
Getting stuck at either extreme can be problematic.
How so?
So being overly focused on your internal state can lead to heightened anxiety.
You're constantly on edge.
Right.
Got it.
But on the flip side, being too externally focused can make you miss important internal cues.
Like when your body's telling you you're tiring or stressed.
Yeah, exactly. So it's all about finding that sweet spot,
Balance.
right? To highlight the importance of mindfulness, Huberman brings up this study titled "A Wandering Mind is an Unhappy Mind."
Okay.
It found that people's minds wander frequently, no matter what they're doing,
Yeah.
and that this mind wandering is strongly linked to unhappiness.
So a wandering mind is an unhappy mind.
Yeah, they even found that making love was the only activity where people were consistently present and focused.
Interesting.
The key takeaway is that our ability to think about what's not happening comes at an emotional cost.
Makes sense. We're sacrificing the present for the past or future.
Exactly. So how do we escape this trap of the wandering mind?
Meditation.
Yeah, Huberman recommends finding a practice that challenges your default setting.
Oh, okay.
If you tend towards interoception, Try a meditation that focuses on external awareness and vice versa,
Gotcha.
like giving your brain a workout.
Right.
It brings us to a common misconception,
What's that?
the third eye center idea.
Oh, yeah, like that mystical third eye.
Yeah, the pineal gland.
So it's not real.
Well, Huberman debunks this myth. While the pineal gland is sensitive to light in some animals, in humans, it's located deep within the brain,
Okay.
so it doesn't receive light directly.
Hmm.
So this whole third eye idea is more of a metaphorical concept.
It's about focus.
Yeah, cultivating focused awareness, not about activating some, like, hidden sensory organ.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. What about breath work? How does that play into meditation?
Well, I've heard about breath work, but I don't really know how it works.
So Huberman explains that focusing on your breath is a powerful way to shift your attention inward,
Okay.
and it makes you more aware of your internal state.
Oh, right.
And he also distinguishes between two types of breathing:
Oh,
cyclic breathing, which is your natural inhale-exhale,
okay.
and non-cyclic breathing, which involves deliberately manipulating the breath.
Oh, interesting. What's the point of that?
Well, he says that non-cyclic breathing actually requires more attention, and it can be like a useful tool for grounding yourself when you're feeling scattered or overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
He even mentions Wim Hof, the Iceman.
Yeah, yeah.
And like his popularization of cyclic hyperventilation as an example of deliberate breath work.
Wow, that's intense.
Yeah, remember that whole interoception, exteroception spectrum?
Yeah.
Huberman adds another layer: dissociation.
What's that?
Dissociation is essentially a lack of awareness of your body.
Oh,
It's often associated with trauma,
right.
but it can show up in like everyday ways too.
Like spacing out.
Like when you get so absorbed in a movie that you totally forget where you are.
Yeah.
Huberman points out that healthy mental functioning actually involves moving dynamically along this spectrum.
Okay.
It's not about being stuck at either extreme.
So you need to be able to tune into your body when it's important, but also let go of that awareness when it's not.
Exactly. He uses this analogy. Imagine a U-shaped curve with a ball bearing at the bottom.
Okay.
The ideal state is for that ball bearing to move freely along the curve, allowing for flexibility and responsiveness.
So we need to be adaptable.
Exactly. So how do we cultivate this healthy balance?
That's the big question.
Well, Huberman emphasizes sleep is foundational.
Sleep is always important.
He also mentions Yoga Nidra, a guided relaxation technique.
Okay.
And, like we discussed earlier, choosing a meditation practice that challenges your natural bias,
Right.
whether that's interoception or dissociation.
Got it.
It's all about expanding our awareness.
I like that.
Now let's shift gears and explore the world of the Calm app with Michael Acton Smith, the co-founder.
Oh, yeah, the Calm app.
In his interview with Jay Shetty, he shares how he and his co-founder stumbled upon the domain name calm.com,
Really?
and they were initially shocked by the price.
Wow.
They had this vision of making meditation accessible to billions of people worldwide,
Ambitious.
kind of like what Nike did for fitness.
Wow, that's a big vision.
It is.
Did it work out?
Well, the Calm app has become incredibly popular,
Okay. Yeah.
and it's introduced meditation to people who might have never considered it before.
Interesting.
And one of their early game changers was the introduction of the Daily Calm, which is a daily guided meditation feature led by Tamara Levitt.
Oh, right. Yeah.
They also had this brilliant idea of creating sleep stories after noticing that many users were falling asleep to Tamara's voice.
That's a clever.
And they made a brilliant move by bringing in celebrity talent like Matthew McConaughey to narrate some of their content.
Oh, wow.
So it broadened the appeal of meditation.
Yeah, it makes it seem cooler.
Makes it seem cool, less intimidating.
That, definitely.
But building a business around meditation wasn't easy.
I can imagine.
Acton Smith talks about how they initially faced a lot of skepticism and dismissal when pitching Calm.
I bet. Back then, it must have been hard to convince people to invest in a meditation app.
Exactly. And as the company grew, they faced the pressures and burnout that come with success.
Oh, yeah. The downsides of success.
Acton Smith even admits they had to step back from the CEO role to prioritize their own well-being.
Wow. So even in the world of mindfulness, burnout is real.
It is a good reminder that maintaining a healthy balance is crucial.
Yeah.
Now, Acton Smith and his team at Calm Studios are turning their attention to AI and its potential to revolutionize mental health support.
That's pretty exciting.
It is. Before we jump into that, let's take a quick break and come back to hear about their vision and more right after.
So AI and mental health support.
Yeah, so where were we? Acton Smith emphasizes that their focus is on using AI to amplify human capabilities, not replace them.
Oh, okay. So it's not about replacing therapists with robots.
Right.
Okay.
It's about making mental health support more accessible and personalized.
Makes sense.
He envisions an AI-powered health coach, available 24/7, offering guidance and support tailored to your unique needs.
It's like having a therapist in your pocket.
Right, ready to help whenever you need it.
Wow, that's interesting.
And think about this, the potential for AI to gather and interpret data from, like, wearables and other health trackers.
Yeah, like our smartwatches and stuff.
We could gain so much insight into our physical and mental states,
Right.
allowing us to make more informed decisions about our well-being.
That would be pretty cool.
Imagine AI analyzing, like, your sleep patterns, heart rate variability, even your social media activity
Oh, wow.
to detect early warning signs of stress or burnout.
That would be amazing.
Right. And then it could suggest, like, personalized meditations,
Okay.
breathing exercises, or even connect you with a human therapist.
Yeah, if needed.
It's like a truly holistic approach to mental health, leveraging technology to support human connection and expertise.
I see.
And this could be huge for making mental health care more affordable and convenient for everyone.
Absolutely.
Speaking of technology,
Hey.
Acton Smith makes a really interesting point about, like, the nature of attention in the digital age.
Okay, what does he say?
He calls attention the most valuable resource in the 21st century.
Yeah, that's true.
With all the distractions we face from smartphones, social media, the constant flood of information,
It's overwhelming.
it's easy to lose control of our attention.
Yeah, I totally get that.
I know, me too.
I'm constantly checking my phone.
Like, I often end up feeling overwhelmed and scattered, like my mind is being pulled in a million directions.
Yeah, I feel that.
And that's why Acton Smith emphasizes, like, the importance of cultivating mindfulness,
Right.
the ability to be present and aware of where our attention is going.
Yeah, that's so important.
It's about becoming the master of our own mind,
Instead of letting our phones control us.
choosing what we focus on instead of letting external forces dictate it for us.
Right.
He offers this simple practice.
Okay, what is it?
Try starting each day with a few moments of silence before checking your phone or engaging with the digital world.
Before the chaos starts.
It's like creating a buffer, reminding yourself of what truly matters before getting swept away by the demands of the day.
I like.
He also highlights the importance of, like, spending time in nature,
Oh, yeah.
disconnecting from technology and reconnecting with the natural world.
Yeah, we need that.
It's so easy to forget to do that, you know.
It is, especially with our busy lives.
But it's essential to give our minds a break from the constant stimulation and just be present.
I agree.
So this whole idea of mindfulness brings us to a really interesting discussion about the role of meditation in education.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Atkins Smith believes that introducing mindfulness practices in schools could have a profound impact on children's well-being and development.
That makes sense.
Kids today are facing so much pressure.
Yeah, it's a different world now.
They need tools to help them cope.
Definitely.
He even shares a quote from the Dalai Lama.
Oh.
The Dalai Lama says, if every 8-year-old in the world is taught meditation, we will eliminate violence from the world within 1 generation.
Wow, that's powerful.
It's a bold statement,
It is.
but it speaks to the transformative power of mindfulness.
Yeah, it really does.
Imagine children learning from a young age how to manage their emotions, cultivate compassion, and develop a sense of inner peace.
That would be amazing.
It could revolutionize how we approach education,
Yeah,
fostering a more mindful, resilient, and compassionate generation.
I love that vision.
And it's not just about sitting still and meditating.
Right.
Calm has created resources specifically for children.
Oh, that's cool. What kind of resources?
They have sleep stories narrated by, like, familiar voices like LeBron James and Harry Styles.
Wow, that's awesome.
They're making mindfulness engaging and accessible for young minds, helping them develop healthy habits early on.
That's so important.
And I know some parents might be hesitant to introduce meditation to their children.
Yeah, I can see that.
Like, they might worry that it's too abstract or confusing.
Right, they might not get it.
But Apton Smith emphasizes that meditation, at its core, is about paying attention to the present moment.
Okay.
And children are naturally curious and present.
That's true. They're always in the moment.
Until we teach them to be otherwise, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's about tapping into that innate curiosity
Okay,
and helping them cultivate a deeper awareness of their thoughts and feelings.
I see.
And Calm's resources are designed to be playful and engaging, making mindfulness fun and relatable for kids.
That's great.
It's fascinating to see how Calm is using technology to make these ancient wisdom traditions more accessible and relevant.
Yeah, they're bringing it into the modern world.
They're using apps, podcasts, sleep stories, even AI to bring mindfulness into the mainstream.
That's pretty cool.
It's a perfect example of how technology can be used to empower individuals and support their well-being.
Definitely.
And it's not just Calm. There's a whole ecosystem emerging focused on promoting mental health and well-being.
Yeah, I've noticed that too.
It's an exciting time to be exploring this intersection of technology and mindfulness.
It is.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a few key takeaways.
Okay, listen.
First, remember that attention is your most valuable resource. Be mindful of where you're directing your attention and choose to focus on what truly matters.
Don't let the distractions wear.
Exactly. Cultivate a daily practice of mindfulness.
Like meditation.
Yeah, like medication, or spending time in nature,
Okay.
or simply taking a few moments to breathe deeply and connect with the present moment,
Yeah, those little moments can make a big difference.
right? These small acts of mindfulness can have a profound impact on our well-being.
I believe that.
And finally, be open to exploring the potential of technology
Hmm.
to support your mental health and well-being.
Yeah, like the Calm app.
Like the Calm app.
Okay.
We've seen how apps like Calm and advancements in AI are creating new possibilities.
Yeah, for personalized and accessible mental health care.
It's not about replacing human connection.
Right.
It's about finding ways to enhance and support it.
Makes sense.
These are truly exciting times for those of us who are passionate about mental well-being and the possibilities for human flourishing.
I agree.
Now, before we sign off, we have one final thought-provoking question for you to ponder.
Okay, hit me with it.
But first, let's take a quick pause and come back to wrap things up right after. Welcome back to our deep dive. We've been exploring all these different facets of consciousness, meditation, and AI.
So many fascinating ideas.
It really is. My mind is buzzing with new insights.
Mine too.
Before we sign off, you mentioned a final question for us to ponder.
Right, so we've talked about how technology can be both a distraction and a tool for mental well-being. Apps like Calm making meditation more accessible, AI potentially revolutionizing mental health care.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword.
It is. So the question is, as technology keeps advancing at this crazy pace, how can we make sure it serves our humanity instead of like diminishing it?
That is a really important question to consider.
It's easy to get caught up in the newest gadgets and apps, you know?
I know, and lose sight of what's important.
Exactly. We need to be mindful of the potential downsides while also being open to the positive ways it can connect and empower us.
It's all about finding that balance, right? Where technology enhances our lives without taking over.
Exactly. Finding that sweet spot where we're using it intentionally.
So maybe a good question to ask ourselves is, how can we use technology in a way that aligns with our values, our well-being, and our connection to the world?
That's a great question. And remember, we all have a role in shaping the future of technology.
We do?
We can be conscious consumers, mindful creators, and advocates for a world where technology supports humanity's potential.
This has been an incredibly thought-provoking deep dive, and I feel inspired to make more conscious choices about how I interact with technology.
That's wonderful to hear.
Thank you for guiding me through this exploration. I feel like I have a much deeper understanding of myself and all the possibilities out there.
It was my pleasure diving into all of this with you.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep cultivating that awareness of your own mind.